So the next thing that we are going to be talking about and bringing up is a little bit of color theory, because it, pertains pretty closely to how a lot of people view how key sets should be constructed in terms of design and colors. Maybe it applies to you guys a lot, maybe it doesn't, but something, things people care about, things like contrasting colors, complementary colors, color harmony, color context, and color symbolism. When you design a key set, does any of that matter to you?
No. I look at it. Does it look good? I'll make it. Does it look bad? I don't make it. I don't know. I've never given it like a scientific approach or whatever you would call it. Yeah. I just try colors, the contrast. Like, for example, when I made Oblivion, I had the modifier gray and the alpha gray, and then I just tried different color codes from Signature Plastics. I ordered like 30 color chips from them, and then I compared different chips to each other and tried to figure out what's like the perfect balance. And then, I went from there, just figuring it out on the way.
How about you, Zamamon? Do you ever think deeply about colors? I know people probably know most about your color matching by the fact that you sent GMK a yellow Lego brick and be like, make Serica this. This is how I want Serica.
Yes, but okay, so that color matching and color theory, those are two different things. So regarding the color theory aspects, I don't think that much about it. Like I know, and I try to think from times to times, like if something is a color will look jarring with another color on everything. But if you look, I really like doing two-tone sets. Like Nautilus is dark blue, lighter blue. Nautilus Nightmares is light green, darker green. And Hamon is also a lighter red and a darker red. So with those it's easy. And the other sets that I did were Striker, which is monotone, Sandstorm is monotone, and Serica would be the only one where we have a contrast with the alphas and the modifiers and the accents. So the accents, so we can talk about that set. And yes, in that set, what I tried to do was what Doblovsky said, more or less, that I picked colors that were more or less in the same hue as the modifiers. And I can know that they are in the same hue because of how GMK works with their color palette now. They use RAL design, and RAL design makes matching colors with each other, I think, more easier than Signature Plastics with the samples, or using Pantones, which are random color codes for some color. And with Serica, what you mentioned about the Lego piece is that while doing the color matching, when I got the samples and then I checked again the Pantone code that we were using, I found out that that was the same code that was used by Lego to make bricks. So I sent a piece because of that reason. Regarding color theory, well, you can obviously make it a little bit better by knowing, but I think that most people that are making sets right now, they just pick a theme and they just pick some inspiration from what they see, from video games, from movies, from art, and they make something that they like. And usually with those, you already have a color palette. Like if we think about, I don't know, Chocolatier, you already have a color palette in mind. If you think about Rose Gold, maybe not, and maybe you have to make it. But it's not that, like, you most of the stuff that I see people doing sets, because it takes inspiration from other stuff that is out there, you already have a color palette, and you aren't thinking that much about color theory, I would say.
Yeah, it's definitely fair.
But it can help. It can help improve to improve a set, but it's not something that most people are thinking about when doing the sets.
So it's more like for you, it'd be more like maybe just the academic background of, hey, maybe you could use this to understand why my set is already good, but the reason my set how it is I just kept picking colors until I liked them, kind of deal.
I think that's that's probably what most people do.
That's fair. And Olivia, real quick, I need to switch to Olivia real quick because you mentioned Olivia and color theory. Olivia, for Jim K. Olivia, was the theory itself just, I want rose gold?
The theory was I want something that would complement or look better with rose gold than just pure saturated things. So yeah.
Because that's definitely a bit interesting, because I know we discussed about it. For example, in person with our CA66s, rose gold is not the same in the West as it is in the East, like China, where their idea of rose gold is a bit different. Did you ever have to wonder like where you should place rose gold, or were you already like pretty determined of what you knew you wanted rose gold to be right off the bat?
So I think initially I had some idea of what I wanted to be, and then like kind of after surveying the landscape, a variation, I got more confused. But then like I decided at that point that I just could like figure out my own like ideal one, and then just let it fall in that spectrum, and hopefully it'll be good enough. So yeah, in that sense, I kind of decided to go towards the more Western style. It's less pinky. It's a lot has a lot more like gold and reddish in it than pink. So yeah. But I agree with a lot with what Zombieman says. A lot of Keyset designers days are literally finding inspiration in something existing or like some sort of theme, and usually they already have some sort of palette associated with it, so there's not really much use for color in that regard.
Okay. And the next one I do want to talk about, a lot of people have always kind of brought it up to me slightly, which is color symbolism. For example, you and Zanwan have sets that are inspired by real-world objects, olive and hamon. When you're matching for an olive, it's more about, I guess, the symbol of an olive than finding like what's the perfect olive at my grocery store to color match to. Where does the idea of what shade of green an olive comes from?
I think so. This is partially because it was more about me matching the board, but I didn't try and base the green off like a specific olive I found in the supermarket. In fact, like I would probably resist the idea of comparing it too directly to some physical objects, because what looks good on like a fruit would not look so good on plastic or on metal, right? So I think you have to consider the properties of the material they're applying the color to, and sort of capture the general idea or the symbol, as you were saying, when choosing some sort of hue, and not try and attach too much to like the concept of like a very specific shade. Because even if you do find like this perfect shade, like there's so many other like physical problems with like real life manufacturing that means you're not going to be able to get it perfect. So you kind of have to like push yourself away from that goal.
How is Zanwan and the idea of what red to use for hamon? Because hamon can, have bits of fat that change the red near it. If you slice it thinly, it's going to look different in the light as opposed to when it's as is the whole chunk.
I try to pick two colors that I really like. and that had the same hue, basically, for that specific. So yes, I could say that I used real jamon, and I went to the kitchen and got some for inspiration and matching, and probably it's but that's not really what happens, because you don't go with a raw design thing with the color samples and go, oh, this one looks better, this one is the red that I want. You I mean, you can do that, but it's not like I could do it. It might have happened, but I cannot confirm or deny if that was the case. No, but in reality, what happens was that what I did was, okay, in my mind, what it looks like jamon, which could be a problem if I had color issues, like if I have like some daltonism or everything, but no, I don't have that. So I picked the colors that I think were as close as possible to the idea of jamon in that case. But you go and don't pick something. This is exactly what I want. Like this looks exactly like jamon, and yeah, if it was all this color, it would be the jamon color, we could say.
Okay.
No, you just pick something that looks close and that you like, even if it's not that close to the thing, which I believe is more important.
That's
if
good.
You like it,
yeah,
other than the reality. Yeah.
I think in a slightly similar but different vein of this, Oblotsky, you've made a lot of sets inspired by vintage boards. Do you just go out, get that vintage board, and be like, okay, I already have the color because it's also a keycap? Do you go straight for that same copy when you think about making a set inspired by an older set, or do you try to instead capture a modern essence or modern version of that in your design?
Well, for Space Cadet, I try to make it a bit more appealing because, well, I'm not 100% sure, but the original Space Cadet didn't have creamy white legends, but rather very yellowed legends, and I didn't really feel like it looked that good. So that was one thing I changed, or rather, well, 7-bit already changed that when he made round 6, and I agreed to his change, and did it the same way, using the legend color is the same as the GMK Camping Alpha, the creamy white, and but other than that, the blue and the gray were perfectly matched to the signature plastic color chips, which 7-bit in turn already had matched towards the original Space Cadet. So there were pictures somewhere on Death Authority back from when he was developing that round, where he compared the signature plastics color chips, and so I thought, well, why do I need to go? I mean, I would have gone out of my way of if it was easier to find an original Space Cadet, because they are very expensive. Like, I don't know, I wouldn't even know where to buy one, but there are several grand, and I don't think any one of those owners would send out keycaps across the globe for color matching. I mean, yeah, imagine it got lost in mail on the way back, or that would be
yeah, definitely understandable.
And
you should ask Olivia.
I don't have a Space
Cadet.
You don't have... I wish I wanted to. Okay, I looked for a couple months.
Okay.
Then you realized how expensive they were, and you were, ooh.
No, that wasn't.
That's not the issue. The issue is she can't find one.
The issue is no one wants to sell them. Yeah, people are people are too selfish with theirs.
For
You will
GMK
let be Hornets.
For GMK ASCII, which is based on the microswitch Hall effect keyboard that I saw at Input Club, I considered having it perfectly color matched, but I figured one reason, so I went with GMK standard colors because having the 30 Legends made is already putting a price increase on the project, and so to like combat that or like to even it out, I went with standard colors because that lowers the price. So
Not really.
It does about
But
like
not that much.
5 to 10 euros. That's
No.
yeah.
No.
Yeah.
No.
Can we just have this for 10 minutes?
Custom colors increase the MOQ and price.
I think
not
it's
just. It's
I would say it's just MOQ.
No. I know because I've worked
but
on.
I don't think it's $5.
I don't know exactly how much it is, but I do know that it increases both MOQ and price because I've worked on a set with another person where he wanted to go with standard colors first and then switch to custom ones, and it increased the price as well. So yeah, I went with GMK standard colors, which are close enough for this set, in my opinion. And I mean, not everything has to be a perfect copy, like a carbon copy. It should be able to look good enough on its own. The same happened when we were color matching SA camping. In my opinion, it doesn't have to match exactly that when you put SA camping next to GMK camping, the colors are exactly the same. As long as they look good on their own, why the extra effort, or why